We told you yesterday about cook stoves. What? Yes, we did. I told you there's a choice in America. Here's your choice, Democrats, Republican. This is 70% of Americans. The things are unsustainable. And it has nothing to do with the globe. It has everything to do with us and the way we've lived our lives. Free market solution. Get rid of the corruption by getting small government of the people. Look to our founders, their original intent. Clean up the corruption. Free the free market. Let the inventors and the Bill Gates and everybody else do their thing. Put people back to work because things are unsustainable. Choice number 2 is Washington. They say things are unsustainable, but because of our greed and our SUVs. The climate is weeping. Redistribute the wealth. That's the best way to fix the temperature, is to move money around. And global government run by elites because you're Homer Simpson. This is the merit plan. This is the Homer Simpson plan. Well, you tell me which one of those is the story of the cook stoves. Yesterday, Hillary Clinton had a global cook stove plan. Here we are, Homer and Merit. Here you are. You're over here. You're over here. And you here on the other side of the forest. Boys, come out of the forest. I've got a cook stove plan. It will get us on the road to recovery. Here's how it works. Starting with $50 million, we send $50 million and some cook stoves over to Africa. They're clean, you know. Okay, now here's the absurd update. That wasn't nuts. Here it is. Cook stoves have been a long time part of the overall climate change. The whole agenda there. They've been like, cook stoves are the answer. This is just the first concrete step. You have to understand this is all part of globalizing the world. They're taking $50 million from your pocket and sending it over to Africa. That way, they save the planet and they redistribute the wealth all at the same time. Everyone wins, except for you. Now, there's a whole lot of people that think this story came out of the blue, came out of nowhere, but nothing comes out of nowhere. There's been a potential for profit for years. Fortune magazine has written about it. Quote, by any measure, it is a long way from the Park Avenue headquarters of J.P. Morgan Chase to the global investment bank that generated revenues of $100 billion last year to the dusty streets of Kampala, Uganda, where a poor woman can now buy a new cook stove for about $6. What connects the big bank to the small transaction is the business of carbon trading. Smoke. You see, J.P. Morgan subsidizes the distribution of these new efficient cook stoves in poor countries. The stoves generate carbon credits because they save fuel and emit less carbon. In exchange for the subsidizing of the stoves, J.P. Morgan then gets carbon credits and sells the smoke, or the non-existent smoke that they didn't create, to people in companies who have actual smoke. Do you know how history is going to look at this in 1,000 years? I forget. Jesus is coming before then. Never mind. The retail price of a stove is less than the amount of the money they get for the carbon credit. It's a complicated process, but basically it's a way to screw you and make a lot of money. It's a business model that Enron had. That's right. In fact, Enron seems a little more rock solid and tangible than this. Yeah. They're trading and selling air. Kind of like the scheme, that they were plotting for in Crime Inc. Enron got us into buying water. But at least you could see and touch and drink that. Carbon credits? No. And you know who's doing it? Well, we just have now. It's little people, like you, that are on the road to recovery. J.P. Morgan Chase. Yeah. Oh, and Barclays. They're and Citigroup. Citigroup is into that. And then what road to recovery would be complete without Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch? Oh, and you know what's great? Those are the usual suspects that are part of the cook stove plan to get us on the road to recovery. But how about this one? Yes, Land Rover. Here's a section of a video from Land Rover. Watch, kids. It's great. There's the cook stove.
Traditionally, the cooking would have been done using inefficient charcoal stoves. Use of these stoves causes the release of up to 4 tons of CO2 per year. The Kampala project introduced new energy-efficient cooking stoves to the local community.
Nice little cooking stoves. Isn't that great, Land Rover? Thank you so much. This is the way of the world. The elites have decided that the world is unsustainable. And so we've got to have cute little cooking stoves in our Land Rover and redistribute the wealth. And that way we'll be able to have a global system and everything will be on the road to recovery, not for Homer, but for these guys. You'll notice I said that we'll have global governance run by elites. I'm not an elite. Are you an elite? You don't really have a say. I don't have a say on this. I didn't even know about the stupid cook stove idea. Did you get a shot at that one? It's nice to think about, that all this global warming thing is about the planet and warm food for hungry Ugandans. But unfortunately, no. Screw the Ugandans, screw you. This is about Land Rover and Merrill Lynch and JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. That's what this is about. Those companies that are still in existence, they stand to make billions every year. The rich, and I don't mean the rich guy, who you work for at the factory that you see every day. Hey, Bill the rich millionaire. I don't mean that guy. I mean these guys. George Soros. Spooky dudes who are waiting over here by the cook stove. Yes, and I've got my minion, Al Gore, and we are going to make cook stoves for everybody. Well, not everybody, but we will have plenty of food for our cook stoves. People are writing our policy over cocktail parties, pushing the climate change, carbon trade garbage, and getting richer and richer and richer. On whose money? Your dollars. Yours. They're taking it through your tax dollars. You have nothing to do with it. We're buying cook stoves. The regular CEOs are all freaking out right now. Most of them voted for these clowns, but they're freaking out now because they can't keep the doors open. They know we're in trouble. But those are the regular CEOs, not the Soros-type players, the globalists. They've been preparing for this new world order for a long time. They helped create it. Look at how Al Gore has positioned himself. He has profited on the hysteria he created, increasing his personal wealth 50 to 100 times or more. Look, I got no problem. Anybody wants to be a capitalist, I got no problem on that. But while you're increasing the fortunes of the elites, they're also galvanizing their power and setting up global governance. And he's living in a mansion that is using 10 times the amount of electricity than you and I are supposed to use. Just don't be a hypocrite about it, Al. I'll tell you more about this next. Global government by 2025. How are we doing on that goal? I'm wondering, because this is from the federal government here. I wonder how we're... Oh, wait, you didn't know that was a goal? Come on. Get aboard the Marx train. This is the National Intelligence Council. They put together a report in November 2008 titled Global Trends 2025, A Transformed World. Oh, fundamentally transformed, I hope. They provide the president and senior policymakers with an analysis of foreign policy issues, reviewed, coordinated throughout the intelligence community. They went to scholars on this. They went to big business leaders, spooky dudes, I'm guessing. So what is their outlook for 2025? 15 years from now. Well, the whole international system as constructed following World War II, that's kind of gone. It's going to be revolutionized. Not only will new players, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, have a seat at the international big boy table, but they're also going to bring new stakes and rules to the game. And there's more. Unprecedented economic growth coupled with 1.5 billion more people. Gee, we should indoctrinate our kids not to have more children. Hey, they're already doing that. We'll get to that next week. That'll put pressure on resources, particularly energy and food, and water, raising the specter of scarcities emerging as demand outstrips supply. May I give you some advice? If you're going to buy land with water rights. Water. Mark my words. Tell your children, Water will be the next oil. And then there's this in this report. In terms of size and speed and directional flow, the transfer of global wealth and economic power now underway roughly from west to east is without precedent in modern history. That's great. Now, our leaders continue to deny any of this is happening, and yet here it is in their own report. This is just saying what's coming. Now, what are they going to do about it? Well, they're speeding it up. Don't take my word for it. Listen, may I just have a real quick chat with you here for a second? I don't want you to ever take my word for it. You must know these things to be true yourself. Do your own homework. You know, people, you get in an argument about me. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Well, I heard it from Glenn Beck. Oh, well, he's fill in the blank. Don't ever say that. I don't want you to say that to me. When I meet you on the street, I want you to say, I looked it up. And you know what else I found? Do your own homework. Find out if it's true. Find out if it's right or wrong. You can find this report now at glennbeck.com and theblaze.com for more details. Theblaze.com will be doing a story on this in the next few hours, I hope. Check it out. Read it for yourself. Back in a minute. President Obama and the administration officials Tuesday turned to faith-based groups that supported the law of, their health care law, to do their part to help explain it to the American people. In an hour-long conference call, they outlined the Patient's Bill of Rights and asked faith-based community groups to get the word out on the new provisions. Well, here's what Obama had to say. The debate in Washington is over. The Affordable Care Act is now law, but I think you can all be really important. Validators and trusted resources for the friends and neighbors to help explain what's now available to them. Wow. If you start hearing this message in your church about all the great things in healthcare, know that they are now propaganda for the United States government. It is un-American. Now look, this is the way it's supposed to work. Let me show you the way it's working now. Here's the problem. The problem was healthcare. The government decided to talk amongst themselves, and they came up with a solution. You hated it. Doesn't matter. He then gives a ringy-dingy to your church and says, hey, you got to help me sell this thing. And then they tell you what it is. You know why that's happening that way? Because they look at you as Homer Simpson. Now, this is the way America is supposed to work. You're at the top. You see a problem in your community. Because you are a person of merit, you want to take it on and tackle it. But it's too big for you to face. So you go to your faith or your church. Then you join together. You come up with a solution. But if it is so big that you can't do it, that's when you give a ringy-dingy to Washington and say, hey, Homer, it's the people. We need your help. That's the way it's supposed to work. This is a perversion. This is propaganda. Beware. If the president called your religion and told him, hey, nothing's going to change and this is just the way it is, this is the solution, jam it down the people's throat, you're going to the wrong place for spiritual food and empowerment. Tomorrow, an hour that will blow your mind. Set your DVRs now for it. We're going to cover the dangers of mixing politics and religion with a woman who lived through the horrors herself. Tell your friends, more importantly, get your kids and watch it with your kids. Remember, America, we can do better. Wake people up and get them out to the polls. From New York, good night, America.